and let us all do we can to build a better future.
This has to deal with corporate media's concern about progressives automatically now winning, and they're doing phenomenally well. So they're scared about how the primary turned out. Let's play this first video. If we can.
By the way, on that, before we even started, I was watching a number of the other channels that are very vote Democrat, and they were very happy. So let's get into this.
All right,
These primaries are a referendum on Trump and Biden. Who do you think looks good?
Well, honestly, at this point, Biden is invisible. I mean, who did he like in the primaries? First of all, Connor Lamb. He never campaigned in this round for Connor Lamb, but everyone knew that was his preference. He got completely squashed by Fetterman, even though Fetterman was in the hospital the last 2 days before the election. Made no difference whatsoever. Basically, Connor Lamb is an empty suit, and he is the establishment kind of Democrat that Joe Biden likes, and he did not do well. Also on Biden, one of the few places he actually did campaign was Oregon's 5th district, where he backed a guy named Schrader, who is losing terribly to a progressive out there that Joe Biden did not want to win. So the Democrat side was a little bit progressives versus moderates. Progressives are mad because Biden came out mostly in favor of incumbent moderates. And, you know, that party schism continues to be a huge, huge problem for Democrats. We don't talk about it very much because the media would much rather focus on the schism in the Republican Party. What did we see of Trump?
Well, no, I just want to interrupt for a second, because reading the news coverage this morning, you're absolutely right. The media wanted to concentrate on some of the shortcomings of Trump and never said anything about Biden being absent from the campaign trail. Sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead with Trump.
No. I mean, look, The Hill wrote a column, and the title was something like, Biden uses power to boost moderates. And, of course, everyone on Twitter just erupted in laughter because what power? I mean, a lot of Democrats actually declined, including Fetterman in the first round of his campaign, to even appear with Joe Biden because his polling is so terrible, approval ratings are so low. They knew it would not only be not a plus for them, it actually could be, and we've seen this in polling too, it could actually be a negative for the candidate to show up at Joe Biden. So he was really, I mean, look, that's where he is right now. He's in a ditch. I don't know how he gets out.
All right, so nothing more hilarious than seeing our good friend Barney kind of get a little scared. You could hear the little fear in their voice. Now, we won't play the rest of the videos because we are going to be running short on time. But there's a couple of takeaways that we can see from this Tuesday primary that I'm actually surprised about. Number one, in Kentucky also, I want to point this out. I wrote down a few other notes here, which I was at the studio to show them. But, for example, Charles Booker. He garnered nearly 3/4 of the votes to become officially Kentucky's Democratic nominee for U.S. Senate. We interviewed Charles Booker way back in 2020 when he was running in his first primary. We're also seeing again in Oregon, also in Pennsylvania, for example, Progressive State Representative Summer Lee, who was endorsed by Senator Bernie Sanders and Representative AOC, was declared victory in the Democratic primary for Pennsylvania's 12th congressional district. We're also seeing, again, in Oregon's 5th congressional district, Jamie McLeod Skinner, an attorney backed by progressives such as Senator Warren, Elizabeth Warren, and Our Revolution, appears to be on track to unseat U.S. Representative Kurt Schrader, a right-wing Democrat who voted against his party's $1.9 trillion coronavirus relief package. So we're seeing across the states, in Kentucky, in Oregon, in Pennsylvania, in North Carolina, that there is a progressive pushback, and a lot of them are backing away from the endorsement of Biden, and much of corporate media seems to be afraid of it. Now, the other two videos we won't play. You can check them out in our show notes. But Daniel, I want to actually have this conversation with you and get your thoughts on this. Is this a potential way for the Democrats to get more seats in the Senate and House? Is there a possibility that there won't be that red wave, that the Democratic Party could maintain a majority or get more seats?
No, I think that that's not the right question that is going on here. I think the question is, what is the Republican tide when that happens going to look like? And then the Democrats, it's going to be, how are they going to continue to undermine the perceived progressive primary? I'm interested in how many Republicans are going to start getting Democratic donors because they have progressive primary people against them. It's so weird because it's like, we've talked about it before. Like, AOC on paper is a one of the more conservative Congress people that is in office right now. She just has the air of not being that, even though she is. But they're so threatened by that idea. So part of me is like, well, they're going against this, so there must be a reason. But then the other part of me is like, but we know that reason, even if it was true, wouldn't last. So have a bunch of progressives that maybe mean well won the primary? Sure. No. Yes. The answer really doesn't matter. The problem is that the Democrats are going to do everything they can to destroy them, including giving up seats to Republicans. And so we're going to watch that play out as it always does. And so what's going to happen in the end, when Democrats could, if they had any strategy, unite behind the progressive candidates, even though that really doesn't mean anything, they're still going to fight and they're still going to give it all away to Republicans. And then they're going to go, oh, man, we have to do whatever Republicans say, just like it was under Clinton.
You know, that's a very good point that you brought up, especially with this, with the Democrats and how their failure to codify Roe v. Wade or even fight for any other progressive issue. And, you know, the thing is, this is the same Democratic Party that really didn't address the fact that it has a lot of conservative Democrats. Take, for example, Nancy Pelosi. She's right now going to bat and endorsing a pro-life corporate Democrat. And we're seeing a lot of that happen with the DCCC. We saw this even in 2018 and 2020, for example, in Illinois' 3rd Congressional District, where the Democratic Party not once but twice endorsed Dan Lipinski. Now, Marie Newman defeated Dan Lipinski in 2020, but she did not have the full endorsement of the Progressive Democratic Party, or either that, let me restate that. She didn't have the full endorsement of the Democratic Party. It was only progressives and outside activist groups that were supporting her. But the DCCC was all in with supporting, like they did in 2020 and in 2018, conservative blue dog Democrats. And we're seeing it repeat itself in 2022. So your analysis is on point, Daniel. And I think that is a fair question. How will the Democratic Party, the Democratic establishment leadership, what paths will they do? What roads will they take to undermine these progressive wins? Because while the progressives did win some key primary seats, or either that become the nominee, it will be interesting to see just how Democratic donors will react and how much money will they pour into the Republican candidates. So that is something that's unfortunate.
And then I think what I'll judge as the most relevant to who I might go, okay, that person is, you guys heard me say a while back that I think it's like if you get the right person in the right place that won't be corrupted, all those things, again, that rare unicorn of a person. Here's what I think we should all be looking out for in this case. What progressive is attacked by the Democratic Party and punches back? I think if there is a rationale of someone that we might be slightly excited for, or at least take somewhat seriously, I think that's the person. It's the progressive that wins the primary, is attacked by the Democratic Party, and the Democratic Party tries to help the Republican candidate. Then that candidate, the progressive candidate, calls out the Democratic Party for doing it loudly and consistently.
That's a very good point. And I'm very curious to see, will it be Charles Booker? Will it be John Fetterman, who we talked about earlier, being the Bernie Sanders 2.0? Will they actually push back and call out Schumer or Nancy or Biden? So that's a great point. I think we should have the final word on that one, Daniel.